Hello and welcome to our release highlights. Today we are going to look into the MES2 release highlights of winter 2023, and I have Björn here with me from the MES Quality Commander team MQC. Hello Björn.
Hi Jan.
So the latest release is the 6.3. And we're going to look into the latest things that you have brought with you today to look into. And I think one of the biggest news here is the use of the sparse checkout from Git. And also we are going to look into how to validate a setup configuration. And then at last, we'll have a look into the dark mode. But Björn, let's start with the first featured news here. And let's have a look what can we do with the new Git sparse checkout.
Yeah, okay, let me shortly show my screen and then we can directly look at this feature in the tool itself. You should see my screen now.
Yes.
So when you create a project, you can say where your data comes from. And in this case, we want to add a Git data source. And typically, to work with the Git data source, you have to check out the whole repository to create a clone on your local drive, and then you can work with this Git repository. The sparse checkout is a bit different because in this case, you define what you would like to check out. So this reduces the amount of data that you have to fetch from the server, and it's quite limited then what you have to store on your local disk. So to show you this, I have configured a data source taken from Git. So this is our showcase Git repository. And as you can see, there is nothing at the moment. So first I have to clone my repository. But this, as I said, will not clone the full repository. It will just fetch the meta information so that we can directly see what's in this repository before fetching it. In this case, I would like to define a commit filter for the messages. For instance, I would like to just take the things that are committed there by our automated pipeline, namely the Jenkins. And I would also like to add time filter for this before checking out the repository. As you can see, it goes from the first data is from May, and it goes to October. Maybe it's sufficient if we take it from June. So we can define here filters for the commits to be taken. So we will just use then, as I said, the 1st of June. And maybe we end the things by taking the data until July. So, and as you can see in the preview, only the commits from these 2 months will be filtered and will be checked out later. In addition, what we can do additionally is that we define a directory filter for our checkouts. In our case, it's a fact that we have separated our reports from the development artifacts so that I know in this case that, for instance, our static analysis reports are located in this directory, which I will copy here as directory filter. You can see again that the preview works on this. And we have additionally, we have our test results, our test reports in this directory. So this can be taken. And yeah, that's it to configure this data source. Now we could add it. And if we create now the project, then only the things limited by our time filter and by this directory filter, will be fetched from the server and will be checked out.
So that's the sparse checkout. You only check out really the data that is relevant for you and that you've configured in the filters here.
Exactly.
And it also makes sense then, as we can see here, that, for example, in a development tool chain that is set up in Jenkins with different tools, that these are configured in a way that, for example, the reports are stored in a dedicated directory and not exactly, for example, in the same directory as the artifacts, because that would reduce the data usage here when you import the data for MQC, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. This is the case, yeah.
All right. So, and then I think the second news was about setup configuration, and down on the left, I actually see setup configuration. So what's happening here?
Yeah, the setup configuration, as you know from our previous releases, is a kind of configuration file that contains, I can show you one, that contains all the settings and configuration files that you need to create a project that you can use to set up your project. Everything is contained in this file, and the new thing is that we can now open such a setup configuration and that you can validate it before the project is created out of this setup configuration. That means everything is loaded into this create project dialog. You can check, you can, for instance, check, calendar weeks. No, I would really like to see it in days. So you can adapt it before you're creating the project then. This is the second new thing that we wanted to present.
So if you have a pre-configured setup configuration and you also want to give it to your colleagues, or if you maybe want to set up a project again for whatever reason, then you can quickly check if everything still works and is configured correctly. Or if not, I guess there's some dialogue that gives you some information about what to change, right?
For sure. When you load such a setup configuration, you will get notification messages in case of there is anything forcing conflicts, or if there are things that are not configured in the right way. This will be notified in this dialog before you're creating the project.
Great. So then let's have a look how efficient the new sparse checkout works.
So if we click now on create the project, then the first thing that happens is it is again checked if the clone that we previously did is already existing. So if it is already correct, or if there are meanwhile something new things occurred in the repository, and afterwards, based on our filters that we defined, we will just check out the things that are defined by these filters. And this should not take that much long. Indeed, we are already nearly at the end of July, as you can see here in the logs. And yeah, now we are already processing the files, importing the files. That's quite fast. And the project should be available for us to see what happened. There it is.
Here we go.
And as you can see, really, it's just the time frame that we defined in the filters that are imported into the tool.
Yes, indeed. So we have the whole project there from the range. The project is configured, but we only have the data of what we want, what we now configured for the checkout in Git.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very nice. And now, since we're already in the interface of MQC, I also read about a dark mode. So maybe we can have a look now.
Yeah, let's simply switch it on. So it's here under the tool menu. There we have theme and light and dark, and we can simply switch it to the dark mode, and then every visualization changes, and that's our new dark mode.
That's actually quite nice. I'm a bit surprised. Usually I'm not such a fan of dark modes, but I must say I think it works for me very well here. It's very nice to be really focused on the relevant data, on the things I want to see.
Exactly. A couple of things are better visible with this dark mode. That's true. Yeah, we also recognize this.
Very nice. And of course, it's a matter of taste for everybody in the end. So this is a setting that is just individually configurable, right?
Yeah, definitely. So it's for you as user. So if you, Jan, would like to use the light mode in nevertheless, so you could still use it and you would have to switch it. So it's just for me now in dark mode. And if I open the next MQC project, it would also be in dark mode. But for you, it's still in light mode. That's true for sure.
All right. Well, then thank you very much for the presentation. And,
always welcome.
Well, that's all for today from MQC 6.3. But of course, if you're interested to check out the tool, please contact us or have a read on our website and look. And I'm sure the MQC team will be very happy to assist you with any of your questions and also with the demo version. Right, Björn?
Sure, definitely.
So it was really nice having you here today. And thanks a lot for joining me, Björn.
Thank you, Jan.
So bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.